The Mirror Dimension. The Mirror Dimension is a parallel dimension within the Marvel Cinematic Universe that allows Doctor Strange and other masters of the mystic arts to practice advanced spells and dark magic without worrying about their spells affecting the main universe. Influenced heavily by the graphic artist MC Escher, the Mirror Dimension can be an insanely powerful tool when used by the Sorcerer Supreme. Today's video is going to cover the Mirror Dimension as it exists within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We first see the Mirror Dimension when the Ancient One battles the minions of Kaecilius. However, at this point in time, it wasn't exactly clear what was going on. We're formally introduced to the Mirror Dimension during the training of Dr. Stephen Strange, who arrived in Kamar-Taj looking for a cure for his hands, but ended up staying to become the biggest badass in the history of the multiverse. Seeing that Stephen was progressing quickly, the Ancient One introduced Stephen to the Mirror Dimension and offered him a safe space to practice his magical spells at an alarming rate. This dimension is ever present and mirrors the standard dimension of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, although, mirror-y. Sorcerers typically use the dimension to train, but it can also be used for surveillance, as when you're in the Mirror Dimension, you can see out of it, but those outside of the dimension cannot see into it. We typically see the dimension used as an offensive option in battles, as the Ancient One does this to fight Kaecilius and his zealots, and when Strange summons it to take on the Mad Titan Thanos. A skilled sorcerer would only use this as a means to capture or trap their targets, as it's impossible to escape without the ability to travel interdimensionally, which is typically done with a sling ring. However, some sorcerers, amplified by the Dark Dimension's power, can fold reality within the Dark Dimension, giving them a massive advantage against those without Dormammu's power. One interesting thing to note here is that Doctor Strange can control the space within the Mirror Dimension without drawing powers from the Dark Dimension, something that the Ancient One and Kaecilius could not accomplish. And that makes sense considering Doctor Strange is supposed to be the greatest Sorcerer Supreme to have ever lived, at least according to the Ancient One's premonitions. Another interesting point to note about altering the Mirror Dimension is that while anybody drawing power from Dormammu has control over the dimension, assuming they are appropriately trained, that doesn't mean that they have complete control. The Ancient One was able to seize control from Kaecilius to protect Mordo and Strange from the Zealots and easily overpower any of Kaecilius' attacks. But the Mirror Dimension is not exactly an easy win button for any sorcerer to press if they're down in a fight. A sorcerer capable of altering the Mirror Dimension would still have to follow geometric patterns, whether it be consciously or not. During Spider-Man No Way Home, during a chase sequence, Peter Parker realizes that the Mirror Dimension has to abide by mathematical laws, and he notices an Archimedean spiral. Peter deduces that the spiral shows locations over time of a point moving away from a fixed point with a constant speed along a line that rotates with constant angular velocity, and he uses this mathematical genius to trap Strange. Peter is able to do all of this while dodging attacks from Doctor Strange and being thrown all around the Mirror Dimension, so it's a pretty important and significant feat for Spider-Man. The Mirror Dimension can also be accessed through a portal or summoned around the user or user's targets if they mean to trap them in the Mirror Dimension. The Ancient One summons it with an entrance portal for herself and Stephen to walk through, but also summons it around Kaecilius and his zealots earlier in the film. While it may seem like Strange summoned a portion of the mirror's dimensional walls and pushed them towards Thanos, the novelization of Infinity War clears this up for us a bit. The novelization quotes that Strange cast a spell that encased Thanos in a crystal prison. Now, for 99% of the villains in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, this would have been game, set, and match, but Thanos had multiple Infinity Stones at this point, and he was capable of using the Reality Stone in conjunction with the Power Stone to shatter the Mirror Dimension's walls, and then use the Space Stone to turn them into a singularity, which he threw back at Strange. And this was also confirmed by the novelization of Infinity War, where it says, Thanos smirked as he used the Reality and Power Stones to break the prison into 1,000 shards. Another weakness of the Mirror Dimension is demonstrated when Strange is chasing Peter around New York attempting to retrieve the Machina de Cadavis, the magical artifact designed to send Spider-Man's multi-dimensional rogues back to their own universe. If two or more walls of the Mirror Dimension are slammed into one another, the dimension will become destabilized. When this occurs, the Mirror Dimension randomly transported both Peter and Strange to the Grand Canyon, where their chase continued. Within the events of Marvel's What If, Doctor Strange Supreme attempts to resurrect his true love, Christine Palmer. Due to the various grotesque actions of Strange Supreme, his universe begins to collapse, and Strange attempts to save himself from the collapse of his own dimension by hiding away in the remnants of the mirror dimension. He is successful and later returns there to store the pocket dimension holding the Infinity Stones, Zola, and Killmonger in order to prevent their unlikely escape while working with the Watcher. So yes, my friends, the mirror dimension is a fascinating concept within the MCU and certainly one of the more powerful tools that Doctor Strange has at his disposal. The conceptual design when first envisioned by the director Scott Derrickson was that they wanted the mirror dimension to resemble a mathematical cat and mouse game. However, in time, the concept grew and became one of the more iconic capabilities that Doctor Strange exhibits within the MCU. I hope you learned a lot about the mirror dimension in today's video, and if you did, please feel free to like and subscribe and do all that other crap that YouTubers ask you to do. Thank you guys for watching this video. This has been Nick with Key Issues, and remember the motto, Doctor Strange over everything.